Welcome to Caribbean Millennials.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Caribbean Millennials podcast. This is episode 96. Sorry you weren't here last week. Your boy took a really long nap and lost track of time.
We were celebrating independence.
That too, but I took a long nap and
We were thawing out here in Texas.
we were recovering from a blizzard in
It wasn't
Texas.
a blizzard, but it felt like it.
A snowstorm in Texas.
Thank you for all of those who checked in on us.
I mean, I started to go for me if you're really worried about us. So you can donate to me too.
I told
Help me
them we
warm
have
up.
to make them miss us every so often.
Yeah, but I feel that maybe our last missed episode for the year, guys. We need to get on our shit. Like, come on, we should have been at 100 already. If I think about it,
Everything in its time, my love. He said that in me because
when
the
I break
reason
up with
why-
you all and start my own podcast, the shit you're on there. Oh, me and Danny can kick Anushka off the podcast and run it because slacker.
Wow.
I know, right?
How was your week, Danny? How was your independence?
Oh,
Do you
quiet.
feel independent?
Not really.
Tell me, let's unpack this. Tell me more. Why do you not feel independent?
I don't know. It just feels like myself and by extension the country in a really weird place.
You
So,
shackled by the constraints of government,
Yeah, and the man.
the man, Babylon, bald head. Okay.
Nah, Babylon not bald. They're not Rasta, but they're not bald.
Well, damn.
Babylon wears wigs.
Does Babylon have a fade?
Nah, Babylon wears wigs.
Ooh,
Wow.
change up their looks. Okay,
Yeah,
I said you do it
Babylon
there.
has a bowl cut.
Babylon have many faces.
What?
There are many faces to Babylon. Okay,
Yeah.
that it's starting to make sense. You know.
Think of the haircut you laugh at. That's Babylon.
Shit, boy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think like people ask, are you happy with independence? And then you say no, and then they say you're not patriotic. But there's a difference between
What?
loving
That doesn't mean
your-
you're not patriotic.
Yeah, exactly. There's a difference between loving your country and where you're from, and knowing that it can do better and achieve more and be greater
Yeah.
than what it currently is. So I was happy to celebrate and share a few pictures. Happy with the pride in our music and our country. And then still I'm like, yeah, so how do we get to this magical place that we know that we can reach?
You're like, yeah. So
Yeah.
now that all this, good stuff is done, let's talk about the hard stuff.
Exactly. And not just for St. Lucia, but the entire Caribbean region.
I feel you. Okay,
But I guess is it though? I kind of share your sentiment. It's also a question for like when you're in the diaspora, like what is independence to you? Like, is it just like an opportunity to like eat your food and like like be in your culture?
that's Je ne Creole.
But I mean, is anything like it's not only one holiday, right, that we do that, and it's not really a holiday when you live abroad, right?
Here's my thing.
In
I
terms
feel like-
of independence, like
Yeah.
celebrations.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. I don't think independence should be about that, about celebrating your food and that kind of thing. I think independence should be about celebrating the progress your country has made
And
since
that's
it has
what-
become independent.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because Adani was mentioning about like thinking, what is going to take to get us where we want to be, but is independence more a like celebration of how far we have come versus like how far we have to go?
But I'm just thinking, if we're judging from the last independence, you've taken a step. maybe one backwards.
I was about to say, I don't feel like the
no,
Independence Day
but
celebrating them things. I think people just turning up and blah, and yeah, boy, holiday,
I
turn up,
think
drink my rum,
they're different
rally.
kinds of people, right? Because like in years past, pre COVID, like I remember
Pre-vid.
there's like a segment of people that will go and re speak about Sir Arthur Lewis
right.
and Derek Walcott's poems. There's like a whole poetry kind of slam, and then there's like
Mm-hmm.
painting stuff. So, like there's a set of people who are heavily invested in that kind of art and culture
Yeah,
of
it's the celebration
independence.
of the people, right? And like
Yeah,
what it
and
means to be
the
sacred
other
to them,
people that will
right?
go to town on Independence Day and watch the parade and that kind
Right.
of stuff. And then there's other people as well that will just be involved in the
Beach line.
independence activities race car portion, because every year
Mm-hmm.
there's the bike ride, and
Yeah,
then
the
there are race
bikers.
events, and
Yeah.
then all the people from St. Vincent, well, not everybody from St. Vincent, but many of the people from St. Vincent, Barbados, Dominica come down with their vehicles and they ride around, and so that's like
Apparently,
a big
Independence Day is a good time to lose your girl in St. Lucia.
yeah, so that's
It
like a
has been
big
the boulevard with the what's his bike life,
yeah,
the Lucian
Caribbean
bike life
bike life.
shirts, Caribbean
Yeah.
bike life, and
Shout
there's going
out
to
to
be on the
any Caribbean bike lifers who
there's
listen to
going
the
to be on there's
podcast.
going to be pon the bike back. That's what I think that's what the young kids say.
Yeah, so that's like a big
I
that's like
don't
a
think
big
that's what
part
the
of
young kids
independence
say.
for people is being on a bike and riding around the island and seeing races. And then still another set of people just want to have a holiday, eat good food, drink rum, and be merry, like Christmas Day. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the fellas couldn't drink rum.
I'm
They couldn't buy
sure
rum.
I'm
I'm
sure people were
sure
drinking.
Of course
I'm
they were
sh-
drinking rum. Let's be serious.
yeah, I'm sure they will. Being If you know any Lucian in your life, you know that from Journée Creole Day, they already had 6
Okay.
bottles on stock. When Christmas came, they were down about 3. So
They
they
s-
still had free stock. They
They
buy 6
replenish
more.
that back.
They
Okay.
were at 9,
They are
right?
9.
So that month and a half
Hear
of
that? No, Danny, they buy 6, they at 9. The partner come and bring 2 for them.
exactly. They had
They knock free over Christmas and New Year's.
They had a New Year's soiree. People brought a
Okay.
bringer bottle. So
And
now
they
they have
leave bottles
15.
behind. They are 15.
Yeah. So now between then and now, they still back down to 6.
Yeah.
And they replenish. So
They-
they
they-
good.
Okay. Now not to jump off the independence topic. Well, I'll save it for after we finish the independence topic, because we brought up something that I wanted to talk about. One of the things I want to talk about, but go on with the independence topic.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I mean, it's nice to celebrate, your country progressing in age and artistry and ability, but it's also tough to see that
You're progressing in other
you
places.
could be so much further.
further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
And the
was talking to
potential.
exactly. I was talking to someone. Um, yeah, I was talking to tennis Coach Session, over the week, and he shared the same sentiments that I did. Like there was a point like we were about to level up and like just jump a set of stairs, and like it feels like we just never did that. Like we just took the next small step and then we just hit the plateau, and we just been riding that plateau with some humps here
Well-
and there with like a slight hill. Because like I remember like because we was talking about sportsmen, but I remember like when sports was like a huge thing here, specifically tennis and track
Oh,
and
yeah.
field. And I know it's like COVID, but like, and maybe I'm just not in the loop as much as I used to be, but he was like telling me like a lot of things, like they just never progress beyond that point that we were
Well-
at where we were good. And like a lot of the time we have amazing and brilliant people doing things, and then when they go, things just when they go or when they're pushed out, things just fall apart at the seams.
Well, hold on, and not to cut you off, but you say like we hit a plateau. I feel like they tried to take the huge step, and they stumbled and fell back. and regress, to be honest. Because if we're talking about sports, right, and I can use tennis as a perfect example, because I played tennis in St. Lucia, I grew up playing tennis in St. Lucia, it got to a point where they made tennis basically inaccessible for people to play,
Yes,
kind of.
we were
When they
speaking
did
about
that,
that. Not even
when they
kind of.
very much, when they did that thing of getting rid of Racket Club,
Well,
and don't get me wrong, Racket Club was already a pretty hard place to get into because they had all the members fees and whatnot. But when they got rid of it and then they moved to that Beauchéju area kind of thing, all they did was move that little boys club they had up there that was making it hard for people to get in to play tennis because you know you have your members fees and whatnot, and move it over there, make it even harder for people to get into and whatnot.
yeah.
The only courts that the only place I know of where they welcome in any and everybody is Session in the Gardens.
Yeah,
And now I hear from what I know, if you played in the Gardens, the people up bosses you want to look down on you and almost even want to let you participate in the tournaments and whatnot if they have tournaments because they have the whole riff with Session because Session not following their rules and he want to do things radical and whatnot. But it's not that he want to do things radical. He just trying to make tennis accessible to everybody and give everybody a chance because we had some really good tennis players.
and I think that's like a common theme, especially here on Ireland. Is like there's something that is like it's okay right now. Okay, just needs some tweaks and improvements here and there to make it better. But whoever gets to make those tweaks and improvements, they try and jump so far ahead or try and do something so much in their own favor that it just ends up not benefiting anybody in the
Anybody.
process.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like
Or sometimes they half-ass it. They don't even do it
Exactly.
properly, and now you falling back.
exact like nothing against what they did at Beaucéjour, but you mean to tell me like there how many courts there? 6 or 8 courts there. How many courts are there anywhere else in the island? Like
Yeah.
like you know,
Bro,
like why
hundred
couldn't there
percent
be
everything.
two
Hundred
courts in
percent,
Beaufort, 2 courts in Choiseul, 2 courts in like Soufrière? Like like come on.
100% everything against the thing in Bosiju. I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I've played on those squats and those are shitty ass squats. The people didn't even try to do something proper and build with proper materials and turf and that kind of stuff.
That's the other thing, because you're
Yeah.
giving somebody 100 million to do something. They're going to try and do it in 1 million and keep the other 99 million for themselves.
Yeah. they should have been St. Lucia should have been littered with tennis courts all over. Every community should have had like 2 courts on it for
Exactly.
people to play on.
Exactly. When they talk about multi-purpose center in every community, that's what you should have. You should have 2
Yeah.
courts, a basketball court,
A volleyball,
futsal, volleyball,
right?
tennis. Even the little thing that women used to play. What's it called?
Netball.
Netball. Yes.
Why you have to say it like that? The little thing women used to play. Come on.
Because
It's actually harder than basketball.
no, because there's no backboard.
Rephrase,
yes.
rephrase.
There's no
Rephrase.
backboard. Yes.
The more technical and more difficult aspect of basketball, specifically made for the higher achieving women in our society.
Exactly.
Known as
I
netball.
like the recovery.
Better,
I
better.
love the recovery.
This is why we here to
Please,
make you
netball
better,
fans,
Danny.
take my
Don't attack him.
Don't roast
humble,
her,
yeah,
Danny.
humble apology. I apologize.
He comes to
I-
you hot in
I was
hand.
just thinking that the rim size was smaller, but that in fact makes it more difficult, and there was no backboard as well. So yeah, netball, more difficult sport. If you don't know, now you know. But
We have a
But
cricket
yeah.
stadium, no cricket game
Well,
played on
but,
it.
I mean, y'all kind of went off there, but I mean, it is something that Adani brought up, wanting to talk about sports, right? Not only, I guess, from like what we did at school, but I guess the
No.
development and that kind of thing.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. So if we have to, wheel it
That's not
real
what I
back-
wanted to talk about, but sure. Yeah, let's go.
Well, yeah, y'all went there.
what
Y'all
do
went
you
there
want
and
to
y'all
talk
went
about?
deep.
But we were
down
having
there.
a passionate conversation about our island
yeah,
and independence and everything. But
because I had put forward the idea of the reminiscing our high school days, and that got me
Right.
thinking over the last week after independence. Like sporting is almost worse now than when
Yeah.
I was
Was
in
there,
when we were
yeah.
into sports,
yeah.
right? Like COVID notwithstanding, like it's tough to get a track.
Pre-COVID
going.
was bad. Yeah.
Pre-COVID it was bad. Tennis, like, is nothing compares to what they had at Racket Club right now. That what they have there, right?
Yeah.
Swimming. There was a
Well,
swimming meet
okay, you see that one. That
every
one is
month.
another thing,
But even I
because
think if you go way back, right? If you go way back, right, to when we were kids, right?
mhm.
I think even I swam competitively, and I feel like the number of
Oh boy.
people
Go
that
Shark.
were in the number of people that were in swimming, right? Like it was just so much and grew and grew and grew over the years. And even like those OACS swim meets, had some badass swimmers,
Oh yeah.
right? And there was only so far that those people could go, right?
Well,
Those that
okay.
were really good, were maybe fortunate enough to make it to college. A couple made it to the Olympics, but that was like essentially it,
So
right?
here's my thing. Yeah, I am of the opinion for sports in the Caribbean and not St. Lucia only. We need to start. How should I put grooming the talent from a young age? And when I say grooming the talent from
Yeah,
a young age, I'm talking like they're in um infant school
yeah,
kind of thing, like
yeah.
6, like 7, 8, 9. From that age you need to
Hmm.
start grooming the talent, because let me show you why I say that. I played i played division 2 tennis, right? And I can tell you for a fact that I feel like when I moved from playing tennis in the Caribbean to coming over here and playing tennis in the US, while yes, I won and I was I won matches, and I could have compete and I was competitive. It was much harder for me because those people, they had been groomed. From high school, from middle school, their school have programs that have them. You playing tennis, okay, well, the coach coaching you, and they doing all these kind of
Well,
things.
and the
So for
sports were
us,
baked into the academics
exactly.
versus it being separate to how
So
we
for
were
us,
raised, right?
when we try to transfer over to the international stage, we already on the back foot already, because we're dealing with people who they have gone through much more.
Rigorous.
I don't want to say rigorous, because it's not that our training and stuff is not rigorous. It's that theirs was a longer period. It has
Yeah.
been over a longer lifespan,
So
a
they
longer time
so
of their life.
so a 12-year-old, Caribbean person versus a 12-year-old like
It can be,
American or
it's nice. I can use tennis as an example because that's the sport I know.
hmm
A 12-year-old from the Caribbean versus a 12-year-old in the US that go through proper, like, actual training, tennis academies and that kind of things. If you look at them,
Yeah.
unless the 12-year-old in the Caribbean is some natural talent and they have some good coach that behind them and notice that,
Yeah.
night and day
But I
difference.
mean, I think you even see it in just how the schools up here are built, right? The schools up here are built with the facilities and courts and like all of those things like right there. And even in a lot of schools, it's a requirement for you,
To be in a
to be
sport.
in a sport,
Yeah.
right? Even those like I believe it's football, but just the people here who are in soccer, right? Those kids that are in that, right? They're not only doing it in school from the time they, 4, 5, whatever.
Don't even use soccer.
They're doing leagues. They
I
have
was
all
about to
of these
say,
leagues
use
and
the
stuff
girls
like
playing volleyball, right?
yeah.
I have my friend Matt, his sister. When Kelly was younger, Kelly not only played her school on a
She
school's
played
volleyball
club
team, she
volleyball in
played club
addition,
volleyball, and
right?
that was every weekend. She was at a different volleyball
Tournaments.
tournament somewhere.
Yeah.
So not only do they have clubs and they have multiple tournaments. So
In a
you not only
shorter,
getting
yeah.
practice experience, like you running drills, but you get an actual competition match experience.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
It's
had
things like
a
that.
I had a tweet earlier in the week where I said we needed to invest more in our sporting programs. And imagine if every islander had the option of competing in a sport and learning a sport from the time they were 4 or 5 years old,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
How far we would have been now,
Bro,
right?
I'm going to
Because
be honest. Go ahead, yeah.
even when I started running track, I found like there were just not that many sports meets. Like it was once a
Mm-hmm.
year.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
would once a year you would run for your school, and then once a year you would run intersect for your school. And if you
Right.
weren't in a club, then you would get, if you were in a club, you'd get maybe 2 or 3 more sports meets for the year. So
Okay.
that's a total of 5 max, right? If you're not in a club, you're getting 2 sports meets max in a year. So how can you run 5 meets for the year and expect to compete and go to the Olympics? And like, like, it just doesn't, like, we want a gold medal in the Olympics, we want our people to shine on an international stage, but we're not giving them the opportunity. Like, if you don't
Mhm.
have Carifta or whatever, yeah, like, you literally don't
Or
get
if
any training
somebody
or any
doesn't really
practice.
take a interest in you and your parents
Exactly,
and whoever really
exactly.
push you and
But
We,
go seek.
instead of we have this mentality where instead of making superstar athletes, we're waiting for somebody to break through, and then we invest in money in that one person.
nah, you have to invest early in the game. Like honestly,
Exactly.
we could have had. You see in swimming, we could have had gold medals already. When you even tell me they have little boys, fellas swimming around the island, all kind of thing. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have
imagine if
little
you take
boys
them
going to
fellas and you
Glenray
give them,
Island and going
yeah.
back in that
Imagine you
rough
take them
water.
fellas and you give them proper training in a pool. What them fellas will be able to accomplish.
Exactly.
And
But you
and
cannot do
here's to
that if
say,
everybody else cannot access it. And right now, the only people that can access tennis and swimming are people that live within the Grizzly area.
Boy.
well, I mean, there's some in the south, but it's not. Isn't there? Is it still? Is there still in the south?
What, tennis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they have two tennis courts and I know they have
But
like
it's
little,
not. It's still not the level and
yeah.
accessibility it should be. So I mean, just to kind of wheel it back, right? Um, things have improved, right? Like, I don't want us to just bash and whatever, but as we were kind of saying from the beginning of our conversation, even around independence, right? Like, yes, things have come away, but there's still so much more, right, that could be done. And in terms of like people paving the way and things happening, scholarships, right? Before, there were people who would just like literally have secondary school and that's it, right? You're seeing more and more athletes being able to get those scholarships to go to college, but at the same thing, as Vernon is saying, it's a disadvantageous thing, so late coming in. We
Y-
do have more scouts and stuff coming in looking for people,
Yeah.
younger ages
Hold on.
across different
Hold on, hold on, hold
sports.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Not to cut you
No,
off.
I'm just saying to highlight
Yes,
some
I'm
of
not.
the
I'm
positive
yes,
things that have
but
happened, right?
I cannot just I can't because the scouts and things coming in is not because the government helping. It's
Mm-hmm.
because more than likely those children, their parents or somebody has emailed some video or reached out to some scout in some way or another to get them to come and look at those children.
Well, but also
That's
I
the
think with
thing.
more and more Caribbean people going out, the scouts have recognized their talents, in these countries, right? Like, so it's from multiple areas, right?
But
There
when
are
the scouts
also.
come down, right?
Mhm.
If you haven't had that level of experience and training, then we just
Then
in
you
a
perform
cycle.
it exactly, and
Mhm.
that's the thing here. I know, like you said, we're not trying to bash, but
Yeah,
all we're
yeah. I
doing
just
is
opened
trying
up
to
the
give
conversation.
constructive criticisms to try and see what it is that needs to be worked on.
Hmm.
And a big part of what that needs to be worked on is support from government. It's not only because a lot of, if a child is talented in a sport, unless this child parents have money to buy them the equipment they need and to be able to pay to take them to competitions other places in the world, in the Caribbean and whatnot, they start playing whatever minimal amount of competitions they are for that sport in their in their island. And furthermore, they don't get exposed to new people and
Yeah,
get,
but I'm going to say yes, I do agree there needs to be more government support, but just to highlight the things that are happening, there are
yes.
organizations that have cropped up as well, right? Like there's this organization, the Free Kick Foundation, that has been um promoting preparing young kids to succeed in sports and in life, right? So recruiting and doing programs in different islands for football, right? Both for boys and girls, right? And that's another thing within the sporting as well, right? That we've seen progress, but it could be better on the like equal, resources for both genders for certain sports, right?
Yes. Yeah. But I think the issue is so complex that
Mm-hmm,
we
mm-hmm.
need a 20 to 30-year development plan
bruh.
to
We've
fix
been needing
this
that, eh?
this problem. Now I will say
And that's not
that
just for the sports alone.
So, but
That's for
let's
yeah,
let's
I will
everything.
say that this current government is upgrading a lot of the community courts.
facilities,
Yes,
yeah.
whether it will be up to par with what we need or not, I don't know. But they putting in that money to upgrade multi-purpose courts and stuff in a lot of the communities. So after
But
that, let's say we have
mhm,
each community has at least a volleyball, football, basketball, tennis court. Then we need to start working on the programs, because if
yeah.
you have the court and there's nobody to use it, then what's the point? So you have to start working on the after school programs so that schools in the area can actually make use of those new facilities, because
So let's
Mhm.
just so number one, accessibility, right?
Yes.
Access to facilities, as well as number two, access to programs, right? And the actual like existence of programs, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So what else you got?
After that, right, you need the programs to be consistent throughout their school
Mm-hmm.
life. So from 5 until past A level, right, you
Mm-hmm.
need some kind of program there, because after college, I can't tell you how disappointing A level sports were. Like it was
Mm.
like
I
going to
did
a
it
community.
exist though?
There was
I didn't go
something.
to A level.
There
There
was
was
a sports
something.
coordinator. There was a gym. They had a yearly sports meet, but yeah, to say it was like, honestly, secondary school sports more organized than the A level sports. To be very very honest, right, on every single level. Like, so it was really disappointing to go to this community college slash, higher level tertiary level educational institution, and then sports is like not even a factor anymore. Like it's just like, yeah,
Mm.
just grades, just do your DTEMs, do your A level, and go about your business. And I think that's why they lose a lot of people, because when you make that jump from having a great 5 years at whatever secondary school you went to, or being, fast and whatever, or being in sports, and then you come there and it's such a non-factor, like people just start to die off slowly. Like so many guys and girls from our year just like, yeah, sports not that important. The
Well,
girls
the other
Well,
especially, they just like, yeah. But
so you okay? Go ahead, Ansha.
well, one of the things I was going to bring up, but Vinan, if
Go
your
ahead.
point
Go ahead.
is better timing, is that we're talking about sports as if like a pathway, like for kids and whatever for a future and that kind of thing, right? But also, as you mentioned, Danny, like as I guess quote unquote young adults, you went into community college and you just kind of lost your relationship to sports, right? Like even for adults, there isn't as much like sports and pickup stuff,
e-
to be
exactly,
involved in just for fun, right? Like I
exactly,
know
yeah.
there were always the guys or the old boys, from SMC or whatever, playing basketball and whatnot, and that has developed more for sure with like private groups, coming together and starting a federation and whatnot. We need more of those things, right? Netball is
Yes,
another one that is here and there, but I think seeing adults and seeing parents and people like that involved in sports, and it's just a way to kind of keep people active, right? For fun. Like when we came up here, Vernon jumped into a tennis league and was playing, tennis with some old men. But he had the option to do something like that, right? And they even apps up here, what's it, play your court or
meet up,
whatever,
meet
yeah, to
up,
just
yeah.
find people in your skill level to just play, right? And you
Yeah.
don't see enough of that, right?
and that comes with accessibility, so
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time these groups die in St. Lucia because the accessibility is lacking, the court falls into disarray. I remember couple years ago when they were doing stuff on the football field, like nobody could use the football field during it, and then after it the football field was only reserved for special occasions.
Mm.
Don't walk on the grass kind of thing.
Wow.
So it's not like when you go over. Now I understand overseas a lot more resources, but I swear,
Mhm.
like I could walk a block and there'd be a park with some kind of field there and people playing
Mhm.
sports every afternoon, to the point where
Mhm.
I was able to just go a couple of days, get in on it. In Florida, one of the guys I went to school with in SMC, he had a whole team. Somehow I managed to just join a football team just out of the blue for club
Right.
football, not even knowing that, thinking I'll just being in a pickup game. I ended up being a goalie for a whole club for a couple of months before I left Florida. And I self was like, what? Like this is so easy. Like back home, like to join a club, like I
Mhm.
like I wouldn't even know how to start. Like you
Right.
know? So I think when you start with 5 years old, like you put in that mentality in your populace that sports are important. Like even like the way Jamaicans especially like treat
Mhm.
athletics and football,
Right.
Okay.
it's like when they have to watch Premier League, they're sport on the same level, like they
Mhm.
giving that their local teams the same level of attention as they would Premier League and La Liga and global athletics. Like to see their stadiums filled with people participating in
Mhm.
sports, like it's
Mhm.
just really, really something that I wish we could foster here. But it's like a mindset, because there's some things people will give attention to, like Black Heart football over the years,
Mhm.
like they got a following. I remember when Coke was in its heyday, like the finals of Coke would be ram at
Mhm.
Club St. Lucia, and then the swimming tournaments and
Mhm.
intersect, but it's not like a island wide kind of thing where like a sporting
Mhm.
event happening there, we're going to be there, like
And things are televised and
yeah,
none of that,
exactly,
right? Like.
exactly. Like it's only televised if there's some mass sponsor or it's
Mhm.
some mass
But
crowd
even there,
event.
right? Like they should have, better sponsorships and these kinds of things, right?
Yes, but if people are not interested, then how can you convince the sponsor that it's good for them to put their brand there for
Mhm.
an event that people are not really interested in? So
Right.
sponsors will sponsor the mass crowd events where they think the most people are. But if you're
Mhm.
talking a local football league, then sponsors are like, well, they only have like about 15 people in the stands. What's the benefit for me?
Right.
Like,
Right.
so I mean, sponsors shouldn't be that way, but that's the reality of business and the corporate environment. But
Mhm.
I think when you start training people from 5 years old, even though it's not everybody, then you start building up that hype, because everybody's not going to be in sports, but there's like sports
Yeah,
have,
not everybody goes to take to it, but what we say
but
is
just
give
the
everybody the
energy.
opportunity to
Exactly.
do it, and so maybe you
Exactly.
start you introduce them to sports at 5, and maybe 8, 9 they decide, yeah, the eye for me is I want to be a musician, is music I going into, then so be it. But it's better to have the opportunity and people decide, well, something else for me, than people have the talent and they never get the opportunity to explore that talent.
Mhm. Mhm.
Exactly. And I think we're not giving enough St. Lucians the the option to explore that talent, the option to get into sports, get into that sports life and see how you like it. Even though you drop off after secondary school or A level, like can you imagine the percentage increase in athletes you would have? You'd have so many more pickup games, you'd have so many more adult activities in
Mhm.
terms of volleyball, netball, sports, cricketing, and then you just have so many more things for people to do,
So
like you wouldn't be just going home after work, you wouldn't be just going to Pigeon Point to drink rum on a
Mhm.
weekend. Like we always talk about this
Yeah.
alcoholic problem that
Alcoholism.
affects us in the smaller islands, right? And then, but like, what are we doing to fix it?
that's
Why
one of the
are
things I wanted
people
to
like
talk
that?
about.
Like because they don't have much else to do. Like, give
Yeah.
people things to do.
Yeah.
My mother posted some videos in our family group of people talking, like, as they're allowed to buy alcohol in St. Lucia. And the way that people were talking, I was like, yo, like, what the hell is going on in St. Lucia? Like, people, again, people were like itching their skin outside a rum shop just waiting for rum.
Oh, to give context, what were the dates, Adani, that they shut it down?
I believe they shut it down soon after New Year's, so like the
Yeah,
first or
sometime in
second week in
January.
January,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
they unlocked it February 25th. So it's
Yeah,
been
so
about 6
from
weeks.
for 6 weeks the
There's been a
sale,
ban on
yeah,
alcohol.
the sale of alcohol and bars
Yeah.
just sale of alcohol
Yeah,
has
sale of
been,
alcohol everywhere, yeah, except
yeah,
Yeah.
hotels.
Yeah.
right. Ugh. Ugh.
So people were
That has
losing their
been
minds.
banned in Saint Lucia, and under the guise of like, or with the quote unquote intention of stopping the spread of COVID or whatever. Uh, not saying that it doesn't work. I need to see the evidence, but I guess that's their way of controlling the people to say maybe they will not socialize as much if there isn't alcohol or whatever. But then I guess it's bringing to the attention how much alcohol does really run the country, right?
Well, it really ruins the country. But
Unfortunately, we invested more into bars and rum shops than sporting and other.
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's where women can still talk about the alcohol stuff and alcoholism, because with the sporting thing, that's talking about like healthy lifestyles,
Yeah, that's
progressive
what I
things,
was. Yeah.
positive things for people to do,
Well,
right?
because if you know you in a club and you're going and compete and that kind of thing, you will want to be in the rum shop drinking too much rum to have yourself out of shape and
Well,
you want to be at your tip top. How you go pull up on the field,
Even
sloppy, and the next the fellas, the next side, the fellas in shape, them and running circles around you. By the time you run halfway up the field, you burn, you breathing hard, all kind of thing, all because you were in the rum shop 2 nights ago, a night ago drinking and thing like that.
but even more so, to that point, is that think about what we spoke about earlier at the community college, like post secondary school level, right? It's then that you really start drinking a lot, right? Would you all not say?
Yeah.
Right?
after
And
A level.
during or after A level, right? And
Um,
that's also the time where you lose. Well, that's when you have access. You drive in, you're out and about, you
Yeah.
with your friends, whatever. Um, but there's not, and that's the cool, quote unquote, cool thing to do. And you don't have things like sports and other activities to do. So of course, you're going to, buy a
yeah,
bottle of rum and
very
go by
true.
the beach and drink, and
It
that's what starts the behavior, like
Yeah.
from that age. And then you go in by KFC, and then you go in,
No, I'm not saying when you in sports you're not going to do these things. You will do those
but
things,
I'm
but
saying it's having
but
the option for other
no, but
recreational stuff.
even if you do those things, you have the sport and you go and you partake in sports and whatnot. That's like I go and I drink rum, but the next day I go to the gym and work out.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know, you still keeping yourself active. You still you trying and
yeah.
keep
I think
yourself.
it's a dependency we have on it. Like
That's the
like
problem. It's a
like
dependency on the
if you
alcohol.
don't have one today, you stress out, you be
Right
upset at
there.
the world, nothing's going right. It's almost like we took after work culture and made it solely about alcohol.
But
Like
hold on,
once
Adani.
you leave work, it's like to drink,
But
right?
to
But
add on to what you
Yeah.
say, Nadani, yeah, because you see exactly what you said there. I remember having that conversation with my father sometime last week. And my father was saying, you have to understand for some of these people, it's not necessarily going and drink the rum. It's because they're
the
avoiding
social,
something at home. A lot of time these people are avoiding, they stressed out. I
Mhm.
can't pay the bills and they're avoiding the conflict with whoever at home that they don't want to go and deal with. But if you have all these little sporting clubs and after work, boy, you saying, yeah, boy, we go in and play football with them fellas over there, that kind of thing. That's an alternative to you going and drink.
Mhm.
You will go home, you still avoiding home,
Well,
and you releasing some
it's
stress on the
another
field.
outlet.
You
well, and
releasing the stress on the field.
they may still have a couple beers with the boys and whatever after, but it would have still been a mix of doing something positive or
You release
whatever
the
as
stress on
well.
the field. You go on the field, you'll kick a ball around, you
Yeah.
slide tackle a couple fellas,
And
you'll
it's
ref up,
also
you'll
that
run,
sense of community building as well, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
you'll,
you
you'll laugh, you'll
interacting with
catch your kicks,
others.
a fella miss a
Exactly.
easy goal, you'll laugh every.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. That
I think
social
that
aspect more than
mm,
just, being
I
around
th-
alcohol.
I think I also felt conflicted times that we've gone back home in the last few years when it came to alcohol, because when we're up, here home in Texas, we don't really drink that much. But it's like when you back in St. Lucia, it's like almost every,
It's part of the culture.
yeah, it's, like even, we have to come, not have to, we end up coming and meeting you guys at the beach just to hang out. There's always, alcohol in a cooler in somebody's truck, something like.
Wow. Just
I
say my name.
hold on,
Just
hold on,
say
hold
my
on, hold on.
name.
Adani,
Pull my shoes.
I want to let it be known that I have no issue with that. All right,
No,
I
I
on
don't have an
vacation. That's what I come to do on vacation.
no, I
I
don't
Okay,
just
have
pull
a
it a leg.
whatever.
Just pull it a
Y'all
leg.
know I don't have a problem, but it's just like when you go from maybe drinking one day a week, or maybe like a couple glasses of wine here and there, to then like you go home and it's like, oh, we drinking here, we drink
but
every
you don't
day.
have to drink there.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Self control. You don't have to
I
drink
I
there.
have,
Because
You
because
you
and
can
that's
literally
go
where
like
I
and
felt
say you can go and say, guys, I just drinking water. I having
that's where I felt
juice.
conflicted, and like I had to grow up in the last couple trips, because I was like, this isn't like 100% aligned with, like,
Yeah.
you know, it felt a little sad inside, but like,
Nah. Well, on this topic, part of the thing we have to get used to and stop doing, stop trying and like
make
make people
people
feel bad
drink.
or shame people for not wanting to drink.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's the
no
thing.
no
You
problem.
can't. Someone don't want to drink. They don't want to drink. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean they're any less fun because they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
exactly. I think for me it's more of like a social thing.
It a
So
1000% is a social thing,
so like I don't even entertain it. Like I don't even know it exists if I'm home doing stuff by myself or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's a social thing to do. If somebody comes over, then you offer them a drink, like that kind of thing. Like like you go buy someone's stuff, you bring a gift, most likely it's a drink, that kind of thing. But like it just feels very ingrained in our culture, especially
Mm-hmm.
around Christmas and Carnival time. like like
Yeah.
But I think with like sporting programs, you also put in that level of drug and alcohol awareness in the programs
Yes, sir.
from 5 years old. If you're learning that this is not needed for you to have fun, this is not needed for you to socialize, then you're less likely to rely on it after you leave.
Or
You know,
even just let them know, yo, drinking, doing too much of this and that go impede your
yes,
performance.
it's
You're
all
gonna be able to
about
perform tip top.
balance, all
It's
about
a balance
balance.
thing.
Yeah, all about
But okay,
balance.
so I have a question, and maybe because I don't know, maybe you have more, maybe you know more than I do, Adani. But with regards to interregional sports, what does that look like? Because I know when I was younger, I remember like for tennis,
Under
we
whatever.
would we play against St. Vincent, we play against Grenada, that kind of thing. So does this still go on? Because I feel like that's another thing we should be pushing for all sports that we have.
It
You have a national team and the team going head there. That
I
kind of
think it
thing.
varies
in
by what
our
sport.
Yeah, it varies by what sport and what age. Because in our time frame, right, when we were in secondary school, track was big
Mm-hmm.
and tennis was big.
Yeah,
Nowadays, I hear less about track and more about swimming and tennis and maybe some other sports like volleyball.
There's
tennis.
But
You
also
have people
like
really,
traveling for tennis.
cricket has always had
y- but but
like
it's not.
under something team, but it's the
Yeah,
numbers. Yeah.
because there are two types, right? There's the organized regional stuff, and then there
Mm-hmm.
are teams coming together, raising funds to go somewhere for like a period of time. So, like, I remember recently my sister and her club that she was a part of, they were able to raise money. Maybe it's not that recent, maybe it's like 5 years now, 4 years now. But they raised money to go to Martinique, right? And then like they had a French tour to go over there and gain experience by playing with people in the French islands, whatever. And then the tennis club was doing something similar where they had to go to Trinidad and some other countries.
So
But
so that's not a
again,
national tennis
it's not
team.
it's not really national. It's like
Okay. A
it's
club vibe, like a private club kind
yeah,
of thing.
private
Yeah.
club vibe, right? And
Yeah.
with that comes a lot of exclusion
Yeah.
because it's basically who can pay to go versus who actually deserves
Yeah,
to go.
so that's what I say. Like we need like national clubs. So all the
And they
athletes
are
in whatever sport it
But
is,
they're underutilized, they're
that's what we say.
under-sponsored,
funded.
they're
Yeah.
Yes.
underfunded. The people in
Yeah.
there are probably the same people that trained us growing up, and now they want to retire, but there's nobody willing to take up the torch. Like people like Twatine, like that's people that trained me track and he's still training track. Like,
Yeah.
like all these people were people who trained me
And
in 100 and
does he
200.
still look the same, or
Yeah,
has he?
still looks the same. Man still exercising, still playing keep it up. Like I remember he would be playing keep it up on the field wherever there's stuff going on at
I
Mindy
used
Philip.
to dread when he
And
just PE.
and so like he's still there. So like that's what I was saying earlier, in that we have a personnel problem. We don't have any continuity of good
Well,
people.
and that's
So
also a path for the
one day
kids, right?
our amazing track coaches decide to retire. Who picks up the mantle?
Mm-hmm.
The people that were in charge of tennis before, now they left. Who picked up the mantle? Now it's like a club kind of activity of who's who, right? The same thing for everything that we do. Is like who's who, right? Or they push the people out and they figure I can do a better job, and then they drop the ball, and then they don't want to admit they need help. So the thing stays in the same lack of involvement and organization that it's been in for years, and it's just a continual. That's what upsets me, because nothing seems to improve. We just make lateral moves, right? We're just moving left to right. Nobody's actually going forward by a lot. And if we do go forward, guaranteed that's because one or two people came together because they were tired to do something, and then now that they've left or they've been forced out, it goes right back to where it was, because there's no continuity.
Okay. So no. Yes, it's you made some damn good points there, in my opinion. Like
That's why I think if we get the year plan from the Ministry of Education and Sports and Youth Development for like a 40-year plan, then you have a framework in
man.
place for what things should aspire to, what things should be. But right now it's just so free and open that there's no
fellas just doing what they want.
there's no real standard.
Anything.
Like once in
Yeah.
a while somebody will follow international standards for something that they do, but for the most part, like there's no local standard of
Danny,
continuity.
you say standards there, and I think of American high schools where when you're in high school, part of the thing is they have a big like exam for you, a physical thing where you have to run a certain distance and climb and do all kind of things. And it's like you have to complete that for you to pass and that kind of thing. We have nothing like we have nothing like that. No standards and then
I
things in
didn't have
place.
to run
All now,
a
so we should
until
have a
I
local.
was in high school up here.
Up here, you have to run a mile until you're up here. Yeah, you see?
I was like, run a what? How many laps?
Okay.
Excuse me?
All now, so we should have like a database of government, like of like athletics and in training in schools, and same way I'm sure there's a database of CXC results. There should be like some kind of measure of and you can be like, wow, that person really promising, but they dropped out. I wonder why. You go, you find out the person living in somewhere in Miku, the house have holes in the roof, and they can't train as much because all their sporting uniforms getting wet, and you have to come home early and put buckets under the holes in the roof.
Or they made it out made to buy them new football shoes.
Yeah, and they're ashamed to wear the old ones. There's so many stories like that in like the community, and it's like at what point do we start saying like yeah, we put $30 to $100 million in a road, but like how has that really helped the greater populace do better? Like we put $100 million in this one stadium somewhere, but like has that actually helped our sports program? Like like at what point do people at the top sit down and like, wow boy, like that's we need to rethink that, like Like we spend all that money, then you have nothing to show for it, huh? Other than a few clips on news and in the National Archives that somebody went in, hacked, and deleted all. Like like
Oh,
at what
wait, what?
point do you?
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Sometime last year, somebody went into, I think it was GIS, Government Information Services. I think they saying it was a enraged employee, former employee, and deleted, I think, a few terabytes worth of data, videos, pictures, stuff like that. Nobody has yet said what exactly was in that terabyte, but it's GIS, so I assume it was a lot of government recordings and files and documents and stuff of that nature. They destroyed some computers and whatever. I
Okay,
think it was 20 terabytes of data that they erased or destroyed.
interesting.
Yeah. I there was a big rant I did on cyber and local security on that, but
Let's not
uh,
go. I'm not going down that path.
but
I think I may have saw you did something on Twitter, and I may have liked something. But you see, when it comes to the topics of cybersecurity and security on Twitter for the Caribbean, I tend to stay out of that conversation because they have a lot of know-it-alls who don't know it all that like to come and argue with me. And you know my stance on that. Like, unless you went and you studied it, or you in it every day like me, like, don't come and talk to me about it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I tend to stay away from that. But you see what you're saying, Danny, about a 30-year plan. Let me tell you something. Agree is like an understatement as to how I feel about that. Because I think we need to be our investments for our island and all islands for the next 30, 40 years should no longer be about infrastructure. It should be on people. I think our people should be the thing we invest in. And it's only when it benefits our people, then you start worrying about infrastructure. Unless the infrastructure is helping the people, it's needed. You need to focus on the people.
You cannot build the infrastructure without a plan for the people.
Yeah, you need to focus on the people.
I agree and disagree. I agree, but I think once you level the playing field, not level, but you make sure that there's 17 constituencies, there are multiple districts. So each place, each community should at least have access to a grass playing field and a concrete court.
True.
Right? Basics. Even though you don't have a swimming pool or something, because swimming pools are large infrastructural investment.
Maintenance.
Yeah, but you can have a concrete court and a large grass field, and you've covered 90% of the sports people can play in St. Lucia. Because on the concrete court, you can do tennis, volleyball, netball, basketball, futsal. On the field, you're doing football, cricket, and boom, you've covered 90% of the
You can even do some track and field stuff on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do 100 meters, you can do short put, throw, all kind of thing.
So Soufrière, Choiseul, Labrie, Vieux-Fort, Micoud, Dennery, Bexor, Cul-de-Sac, Castries, ancillary canneries, Grosile, and Babono. You make sure each of these communities have one facility at least that is up to snuff. Like there are many playing fields everywhere, but you make sure at least you have one proper facility that's up to snuff. Then you can stop investing in infrastructure. And alongside that, while you're building those things, you're actually planning your curriculum for people's 4 to 30, right? Because I'm sure you put a program there for adults after school to learn something in terms of volleyball. Like you train volleyball for the first year, and then after that you start having volleyball leagues. You train cricket for the first year. I am sure 100% guaranteed you will have people that fell off the bandwagon in sports because it was so elitist in primary and secondary school, and like then, well, I'll give it a try now since it's just a bunch of us having fun for a club. Like, I'll try it.
Or you get some of the old ones.
Economic opportunity, even for like gay and stuff.
So that's the next thing I was going to bring up. What does duties and stuff look like for on importing gear and these things? I cannot remember what it was when I was buying tennis rackets.
I think it's in the 20-40%.
Yeah.
But it should really be like more like 1 to 6.
Yeah, it should be less than 10%.
Now,
right?
I will say I will say there is, I think, something you can do to get it duty free, but you have to sell 2 kidneys, a liver, and you have to go
Bombo
to
clat.
all 21 government buildings within the space of 6 days during the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. only. And then you must knock on the door 3 times and then click your heels to get that done. But, and then
While wearing your clothes, inside out.
after that, you're still not guaranteed. You still have to go and kiss a customs agent ass. Yeah, so.
No, but here's the thing, because lowering that duty, you allow people to bring in the gear and equipment necessary that they need to play. But also, you give somebody a chance to decide, I go open a store that's selling all them things. So people don't have to about, boy, I have to go online and buy it. They can just go to a store, and then you tennis racket, go to a store, and then you cricket back, go to a store. I need some football, things like that. Like,
bicycle repair shops, whatever, tennis racket stringing, whatever,
you know,
like all these little side skills, related to these things.
yeah.
Ah, well, guys, we just out here
Yeah.
dreaming.
Yeah. I hope that in the future it will get to where it needs to be. I like sports, but I'm not a professional in sports. Like I can do this stuff for IT and computers and that kind of stuff.
My
But
sporting days are done.
yeah, for
Right.
sports, I'm not the professional. There are other people in that field that are way more professional than I am and know the
Yeah.
ins and outs and in it right now. So
Exactly.
I hope either now or in the future somebody can take charge. And I mean,
Well-
I might even take the time and jot something on paper and talk to somebody I know that's in there and see how possible.
Well, here's the thing, Adani. Some of them probably in there fighting, but they're just not getting the support that they need.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
very
So
true.
I don't want to believe. I do not want to believe nobody's out there fighting to try and improve.
There are people.
sport first. There are people.
But
I
for
think
whatever
what it
reasons,
is, we need
not
to
being
hope.
supported.
Yeah, what we need to hope is that in the future they get the support that they need. That's what
Said-
we need for them.
I have noticed that we live in a very vindictive society. So there are a lot of instances where people will be held up just because of one incident that something happened.
Yeah.
That people, whoever is in charge now, will not make that happen. And a lot of times you hear, "Oh, mate, oh, her, yeah, no support for you." Like
yeah.
like there's one person like just gatekeeping all the time, like or somewhere, like because they don't like you or they thought you were too big back in the day or whatever it may be, blah 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 blah. Your party not theirs, etc., yada yada. Like
The
and-
usual.
and like it's like I want to progress this country, right? Whether you against me or not, if you want to do the same
Whether
thing,
you
let's
like
work
me or
together.
not, yeah,
Yeah,
we work
because
together.
we don't
We
have
can
to
put
line
aside.
up.
We should be able to put aside our differences and do what needs to be done to better the country and whatnot.
Our corporate and government work structure is like, like if I don't like you, like I'm not doing a good job. Like, it's like
I am
how does
deliberately
any
holding
work-
up the process.
how does any work get done at that point? Like, boy, the boss real nice, I like the boss. I go work hard today. Yeah. Woo.
But here's the thing.
almost
Even
like
if they
we're
like
back
the
in
boss, they're
slavery.
still not working hard.
It's almost like we're back in slavery. Like, oh boy, the master gonna beat me today if I don't get this work done. Well, I'll take the lashes. Like, like come, we can work. Like, we can work without like an incentive. Like, like you get paid, okay, work. Like,
Yeah.
you get paid to forward sports. Okay, that person wants to forward sports, let them forward sports. Like, I don't understand the rocket science. There's so many things we need. It just can't be covered in one podcast. Honestly, like honestly, I mean, left up to me, like I would just wipe everyone's memory and just like we starting from the basics. Like not the memory of how they do things, but remember SpongeBob where he forgot everything except fine dining.
Bro,
Like
I would wipe out. No. I would wipe out this whole party system thing and start fresh.
yeah,
It'd be like
no
none of these
grudges.
parties ever existed. No grudges. They just come together and put our skills together and resources and make this shit happen.
Like, yeah, I would love for that to happen. Like the only time that happens is like after some dire natural disaster or something of the sort. Then everybody wants to work together for like the 3 months following, and then after that is where put you. That's see for yourself. See for your cover your yeah. Anyway,
CYA.
yeah.
Yeah. So interesting topic. Not quite where I wanted to go with this
Where did
episode,
you
but
want
I'm
to go?
happy.
Where are we
Nah, nah,
going
nah,
next
nah.
week?
Yeah.
I saving it for next week then.
Okay.
Danny, it's related to that tweet you sent me.
Which the one
The
with the pictures?
bullshit. Yes, the one I took the screenshots of.
Oh,
The
the
bullshit.
energy.
The energy. Let me tell you something. I got heated. I go to be honest with you, and I have things to say about that. Because in 2021, we have to change. Let me say things have to change. We have to change. We have to change. But I will leave that for next episode.
Next time on
Yeah,
Dragon
next
Ball
time
Z.
on Caribbean Millennials. You know.
Next
But
time on Dragon Ball Z. Find out what the
right?
topic is.
Yeah. But guys, it's been another episode. It's been great talking to you guys, as
Yeah.
usual.
Please,
Yeah.
please let us know how sporting systems are in your country, right?
Yes. No. Yeah, I am genuinely interested in what it's like in other countries, in the Caribbean. Like I know in Jamaica, sports is a big thing for them people. Like the way them people is, whew, boy. So, but I want to know if it's like that other places and if it's just us. That's just the outlier kind of thing. So please,
I doubt it.
I doubt it, but please let us know, share your thoughts on what we spoke about, and like, subscribe, and share the episode. It's been another episode of the Caribbean Millennials podcast. We are out.